Assalamu alaikum guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's get into it.
China has sent warships to Iran, and it seems like China's getting involved between Israel and Iran. Today, satellite pictures showed that China has sent 2 surveillance and intelligence gathering warships to the Persian Gulf, near to Iran. Now what's important is these ships aren't there to carry out attacks, they're made to gather intelligence, not launch missiles. Specifically, these ships have been designed to gather intelligence on missiles that have been launched, and to also find out everything else that's happening when a country launches an attack. And the reason that bit is such a big deal is because, according to some reports, these Chinese ships are helping Iran shoot down Israeli missiles. And to add to that point, the support that China is giving to Iran seems to go even deeper than that. In fact, over the last week since this conflict with Israel has started, multiple Chinese cargo planes have landed in Iran. Now, officially it's unknown what's in those cargo planes and why they're landing in Iran. Of course, because of that, it would be a lie to say that there's weapons and things in those cargo planes. Although it's definitely a possibility that China is helping Iran. Of course, if there was weapons in those cargo planes, it seems very likely that these Chinese intelligence ships will also be providing intelligence to Iran, specifically about Israeli missiles that headed towards Iran. And this wouldn't really be a huge surprise. Obviously, the US is helping Israel actually shoot down Iranian missiles. So if China is providing intelligence to Iran, then that's not a huge thing to think about. Either way though, China's still sent 2 surveillance warships to the Persian Gulf, so they're definitely keeping an eye out for what's happening, even if they're not.
Just want to pause it 1 second. China is helping out Iran gathering intelligence. It's also learning that in case it might one day face United States, learn all these moves, It's really paying close attention in Ukraine war, Russia and Ukraine, learning how that one day if they get into war, they know what to do and what to expect and anticipate and counteract. And while everything's gone to chaos, China's learning and adapting to all this conflict. Obviously, it's helping out Iran because it's in the BRICS club or whatever, you know what I mean? They have a NATO club and they have a BRICS club, you know what I mean?
It's actually supporting it.
Iran's parliament has approved plans to close one of the world's most important shipping routes. It could impact oil exports from the Middle East and affect Asia especially. Here's why the Strait of Hormuz is vital for geopolitics and energy. The strait is a narrow but a crucial route for international shipping. It's used by many countries on either side of the Persian or Arabian Gulf. As it's only 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, it's a strategic sea route with actual shipping lanes of only 3 kilometers. Because of its location, it is geopolitically important to many countries, including the United States and China, and is referred to sometimes as a trade choke point. 1/5 of the world's oil and gas is exported through the strait. Around 20 million barrels of oil and 300 million cubic meters of liquefied natural gas passes through daily. Data from analytics firm Vortexa shows that between January 2022 and May this year, 17.8 to 20.8 million barrels of crude, condensate and fuels pass through the Hormuz Strait every single day. If Iran closes it, the economic impact could hit both Iranians and OPEC countries that rely on this narrow sea channel to export most of their oil and gas. That's why the world is watching closely. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said the Persian Gulf and surrounding waters are vital for global trade and energy, and that regional stability serves the common interest of the international community. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has warned Iran that closing the Hormuz Strait would be, I quote, a suicidal move.
He says there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions. So he says for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, the president writes, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world.
This attack represents a blatant violation of the state, the sovereignty of the state of Qatar, and also in violation of the good neighboring policy. It is also an aggression against international law. The state of Qatar confirms that it will reserve the right to retaliate in accordance with international law and in accordance and in proportionate with the size of this attack. We would like to reassure the citizens and also the residents and the whole world that with the grace of God and under the direct leadership of His Highness the Emir and also the faithful men of the armed forces of Qatar, this attack was intercepted. The Air Force of...
So I'm going to pause it again and say that, Qatar obviously has a right to attack back to Iran, but if the United States are doing attacking Iran from your country, you're basically helping that, assist with that as well. You know what I mean? So, in a way, Iran has the right to defend itself. If you have a military base, a United States military base in your country, there's a risk of you getting attacked because of that. Obviously look at the Americans. They have there's so many bases in all over the country, especially the Middle East. If there's attacked Iran, obviously the United States attacked Iran, they bombed the nuclear site. Iran can't just stand back and just take it like that. They have to retaliate. And moreover, they gave a warning they're gonna attack it. They're they're gonna attack you in such time. We're gonna give you some missiles. You can easily take them down. They give you a warning, and also to show the people that we done something. And I believe they attacked Iraq as well. Yeah.
Qatar was able to successfully intercept this attack, and there were no damage.
How did the Mossad gain access to Palestinian WhatsApp data? Meta has war crimes to answer for. Meta, the parent company of WhatsApp, is facing serious questions about its complicity in Israel's digital warfare against Palestinians. An investigation by the Grey Zone revealed that Meta has hired over 100 non-Israeli employees, including senior staff, despite being fully aware of their previous service in the Israeli occupation forces. One of them is Shira Anderson, an American who volunteered with the IOF and now markets herself as an international rights lawyer. Today, she serves as Meta's AI policy chief. Let's be clear. This isn't just about a few ex-soldiers moving into tech. It's about Meta deliberately hiring individuals trained in surveillance, repression, and AI warfare, then granting them access to billions of user data. Israel's use of AI systems like Lavender to identify and kill Palestinians is no longer a secret. Unit 8200, the Israeli military cyber intelligence unit, used WhatsApp metadata to generate kill lists. In one chilling tactic, Israeli forces marked every individual in a WhatsApp group for assassination if the chat contained even one alleged Hamas member. How did the unit access this data? That's where Meta's hiring pipeline raises chilling possibilities. Did former Mossad operatives now working at Meta use their networks to facilitate data access? Did Meta's systems allow Israel to weaponize WhatsApp metadata against civilians? Meta claims WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, but encryption means nothing if metadata is being quietly collected, stored, and potentially exploited by those trained to do exactly that. This goes beyond privacy violations. It points to a potential corporate military alliance in digital warfare, where Silicon Valley tools are used to execute real-world war crimes. The recruitment of former IOF AI specialists make Meta's hands more than just dirty. They're drenched in blood.
How many children is it legitimate and proportionate to kill patients in a hospital to get one Hamas
Wilfred,
scalp?
can I just give you the infrastructure of the international law?
Just want to pause it that, the WhatsApp are spying on us. They're literally hiring military personnel into the company on the policy department, so they can monitor everything what we say and do. And through this procedure and connection, they're being able to kill a lot of Palestinian civilians, mind you, civilians.
because obviously you're not asking a question based on the international law is asking only one thing. When you're targeting a target, is that a military legitimate target? First question. Second, what's the ratio between terrorists and people that are combat and non-combat? And
That's my question.
The international and Israel's rate is 1 to 1.
I mean, law is obviously hugely relevant to this, but it just comes back to a question of proportionality. You know, at the start.
We are operating according to the proportionality.
And obviously, some numbers would dispute whether it's to 1 to 1. But again, I don't even need to go into that. I can go to the testimony of Dr. Victoria Rose, who's a London-based NHS surgeon. She was on her 3rd trip to Gaza and documented what happened very closely for us. And she said, I felt at times this was so barbaric what was going on in terms of the numbers of children coming through the doors with bits of their bodies blown off that it had to be displayed. I felt a duty to share what I was seeing. This is actually really happening. So, you know, the testimony that Victoria Rose brought us, the testimony that Dr. Tom Patoka brought us, is that there are more innocent children, let alone adults, at this stage in the conflict that are dying per Hamas scalp that you see.
But you need to remember, we never targeted the children. It's Hamas that needs to be blamed.
And I'm not going to defend Hamas. I'm not going to defend Hamas.
Not, but they need to blame Hamas for creating this reality for the Palestinian people in Gaza.
We can both agree resoundingly about that. But you are the one now pulling the trigger. And we are a long way into this conflict where the numbers of Hamas scalps you get per innocent person, particularly children, that are killed as collateral damage, is vastly reduced. And it does raise the question of proportionality.
I want to go back now to the fact that the Iran war will bring us to a ceasefire. We still have 20 hostages alive in Gaza.
Okay.
Hamas must release them, and we still have bodies they're holding from people that were kidnapped at the 7th of October, and people were dying in captivity, and they need to release them. So we are asking very simple requests from the international community. Pressure Hamas to release our hostages, and we will have a better condition to get to a ceasefire. We agreed to the Witkoff plan. We agreed to any framework the Americans offered to have a ceasefire in Gaza. We are not interested in wars. Every life lost in Gaza, you need to blame Hamas for committing.
Just want to pause it again and say that I'm done believing anything what Israel have to say. You know, so who's killing the innocent civilian? Is it Hamas? They're not the IDF. There's so many proof evidence that they're killing IDFs. I mean, Palestinian soldiers. IDF killing Palestinian soldiers. The proof is out there. They're still denying it. Such hypocrites.
Committing the crimes of 7th of October and committing the war crime.
Here's how the US President Donald Trump said the ceasefire between Israel and Iran would play out. Starting at 7 o'clock in the morning in the Middle East, Iran would stop attacking Israel. But Israel wouldn't have to stop attacking Iran. It would have 12 hours before it had to reciprocate. And then following that, another 12 hours later, the ceasefire would come into effect. And the ceasefire is now in effect, according to Donald Trump. He put a post out on Truth Social, very short, very to the point, saying the ceasefire is now in effect. Please do not violate it. There are differing opinions on how the ceasefire came about, though. Donald Trump says that Israel and Iran both called him almost simultaneously, saying they wanted peace, whereas Iran is saying Trump actually called them in a begging-like manner. That's how they described it, just after that US airbase was attacked by the Iranians in Qatar. But it is now in effect. We know that Donald Trump spoke to the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Meanwhile, he also asked the Emir of Qatar to speak to the Iranians. When it all started to come together, J.D. Vance, the Vice President, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy, they also had indirect and direct talks with the Iranians. It is now in place. The question is, will it last?
Israel has agreed to US President Donald Trump's proposal for a ceasefire with Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu was saying that it has achieved its goal of removing Tehran's nuclear and ballistic missile threats. So Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu releasing a statement just in the last few moments, posted by his office on Tuesday, saying that Israel has agreed to Donald Trump's proposal for a ceasefire with Iran.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Okay, that's it for today, guys. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.